800 Gambler.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are coming home with a 2-0 lead in the National League Championship Series. They beat Milwaukee 5-1 Tuesday night. Another spectacular pitching performance for the Dodgers. This time it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto delivered the first complete game in the Major League postseason since 2017. In 9 innings, he allowed only 3 hits and had 7 strikeouts. Milwaukee has scored only 2 runs combined in the first 2 games. Game 3 is Thursday afternoon at Dodger Stadium. First pitch at 3 o'clock. Major props to Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank. Blank's foundation announced a plan to provide $50 million in scholarships over the next 10 years to the 4 HBCU schools in Atlanta: Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown, and Spelman. Blank became an NFL owner in 2002 when he bought the Falcons for $545 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis Smiley with a final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. As you know by now, our major keynoters include Professor Richard Wolff and Dr. Cornel West. LA Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries: fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump's cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine. The Constitution is not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA County, Committee for the First Amendment, and more. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Yeah, this is for my brothers in the hood and the high rises, on the mansions with the maids. We gotta come together, y'all. Come on.
Dr. Chavis, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Case. Tyrese. Me already. Help me sing for this. Yeah.
Standing here alone, trying to face another day. Gotta stay strong to endure this pain I'm dealing with right now. It fits my whole life upside down, but I don't want your help. I don't need your sympathy. No. What can I for me? He can help you up when you are down. What can a brother do for me? He can be you rise when you can't see. What can a brother do for me? He can help me be the best man I can be.
An appropriate track for this final hour of today's program as we look back 3 decades ago. It is the case that 30 years ago tomorrow, million plus Black men and women gathered in Washington, D.C. for the Million Man March. In a moment here, we'll talk to 3 guests who are all in attendance at the Million Man March. Again, 30 years ago tomorrow. I want to hear their reflections on that historic day. We'll be joined here in this hour, for the hour, by Dr. Benjamin Chavis, National Director of the March. We'll be joined by Dr. Faye Williams, March Host Committee Co-Chair. And we'll be joined by Farajii Muhammad, who is actually a producer on this radio program. but he was just a kid 30 years ago when he went to the march. I think he was 16 when he went to the March on Washington. The Million Man March. He wasn't born at the March on Washington era. The Million Man March 30 years ago. Farajii was a 16-year-old black kid from Baltimore City. And so he went to the march. We'll include him in that conversation as well. I'm also going to, as we move through this hour, play some sound, obviously, from that march 30 years ago. Got some great clips for you that will take you back 3 decades ago. And I think, Miles Lowe, I want to start with the clip. Maya Angelou. This is Maya Angelou 30 years ago tomorrow.
Maya Angelou.
My brothers and sons and grandsons and cousins and nephews, the night has been long. The wound has been deep. The pit has been dark, and the walls have been steep. Under a dead blue sky, on a distant beach, I was dragged by my braids just beyond your reach. Your hands were tied, your mouth was bound, you couldn't even call out my name. You were helpless and so was I. But unfortunately, throughout history, you worn a badge of shame. I say the night has been long. The wound has been deep. The pit has been dark, and the walls have been steep. But today, voices of old spirit sound, speak to us in words profound. Across the years, across the centuries, across the oceans, and across the seas, they say, draw near to one another. Save your race. You have been paid for in a distant place.
Just a taste of Maya Angelou 30 years ago tomorrow at the Million Man March. I want to play one more clip before we commence our conversation with our 3 guests in this hour. We go from the elder, the griot, Maya Angelou, to the young Allende Jean-Baptiste. This young man pretty much stole the show that day. I recall 30 years ago. Just listen now to Allende Jean-Baptiste.
My grandfathers, my fathers, my brothers, I lift up my voice and raise it high, telling the stories of your children's cries, for our ability to survive the onslaught of the enemy's drugs, guns, and alcohol, his prisons and its killing fields, depends directly on whether you are willing to stand up and resist the outrages that are being heaped upon us as a people and build a new society. Yes, the task is difficult. The odds are against you. But you must organize to find a way or make your own way. You must change today so that tomorrow may dare to be different. And when you have fought back and regained your pride, when you have won some battles, when you are able to tell the story of your heroism, when you can pass on to your young the tradition of struggle through examples of your having stood up for a better tomorrow, when you take control of our institutions, or maybe our schools, when you maximize our economic resources towards our own benefits, when you stop making excuses, when you start standing with our brothers, when you stick it out with your families, when you start mentoring our young, when you start teaching us to be humane, then we can build a new nation of strong people.
As I said, I recall it like it was yesterday. That young brother stole the show that day. Allende Jean-Baptiste, and prior to that, of course, the sound of Maya Angelou. I got more sound I'll play for you as we move through this hour. But when we come forward, we'll commence our conversation with our 3 guests who are all there 30 years ago this week. Dr. Benjamin Chavis, National Director of the Million Man March. Dr. Faye Williams, March Host Committee Co-Chair, and Farajii Muhammad, producer on this program, but just a kid then, at the age of 16 at the Million Man March. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com. Here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
With the new High Value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are you $6, and fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every day. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Those may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
May 1st daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tomorrow will bring better you, better me. Never give up on your and your dream. You gotta get up to be strong. And we try, we get out to a whole other place. So we can go where we want. And we're all we decided to take. It was never.
So you heard Allende Jean-Baptiste just a few moments ago in that brilliant presentation at the 30 years tomorrow, and he was talking about tomorrow. And my mind went straight to Quincy Jones and Tevin Campbell. Turn that up, Miles. It just sounds so good.
And we try to a place in the sun. All we need is just dreams, and I'm afraid we can trust. We can go anywhere we want, any road we want to take, and we're everybody sing tomorrow. We just go around. We will share. Everyone is up in we will never
So we are having this conversation today because tomorrow is the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. Let me introduce our guest. for this hour, Dr. Benjamin Chavis, National Director of the Million Man March. Dr. Chavis, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Travis. Always an honor and a pleasure to speak to you.
It's a blessing to have you on the program. Dr. Faye Williams, March host, committee co-chair. Dr. Williams, how are you today?
I am blessed and highly favored.
Hey, I love that. Blessed and highly favored. We are blessed and highly favored to have you on this program. And I got to ask Farajii Muhammad how he's doing. I've been seeing him all day. I see him every day as the producer. So you don't ever get a chance to meet the behind the scenes people out here. But Miles Lowe is my board. I can hear me call his name from time to time. Farajii Muhammad is one of my producers. You can call his name from time to time. Jay-Z. I got my own Jay-Z, Joe Zephyrin, other producer who you don't hear often. I get to be out front, but these guys are the ones who make the program work so nicely, so beautifully every day, and I'm grateful to all of them, to Jay-Z, to Miles, and to Farajii Muhammad. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Brother Tavis?
You know me. If I complain,
you will be an ingrate.
I did great. You got it. You know how it works. You know how it works. Dr. Chavis, let me start with you, sir. I want to ask everybody the same outfit. We'll jump from there and build from there. But your reflections, just so I don't want to box you in any way. I want to give you all the canvas you need to paint. So your reflections on this historic day 30 years ago this week.
Well, 30 years ago, historic day, not only for African Americans, but it was a historic day for people of African descent all over the world. When people witnessed 1.4 million black assembled for the Million Man March in Washington, D.C. So, reflecting back 30 years and up to today, Tavis, I realized that you should always learn from my history. So a lot of people have asked me, are we going to have another Million Man March? What I would like to suggest is that we learn from the Million Man March, not try to repeat it. What were the learnings? The learnings were that we need to work together. That unity is important. The learnings were that we registered 250,000 people to vote, Travis, at the Million Man March. Today, the Supreme Court is debating whether or not the voting rights should still be fair.
That's right.
So we have work to do. Not only we experienced 30 years ago, we learned from it.
Dr. Chavis is right. The Supreme Court, I would just change one word in this sentence. I'm not sure it's much of a debate, Dr. Chavis. I think the jury is not out on how this court is going to rule. I'm more than chagrined about it. I've been discussing on this program for the last 9-8 months. We knew this case was going to come. We knew this day was going to come, and they would hear this case. Sadly and regrettably, my sense is that when they give their final ruling, they will have made a decision to gut the remaining teeth, the remaining authority that have had born of the Voting Rights Act. I don't see it any other way. So when you say debate, I know what you meant by that, but I'm not sure it's much of a debate. You want to respond to that right quick?
No, I agree. I think the Supreme Court is against civil rights, against voting rights, against human rights.
Yeah.
And I think, though, what I would like to suggest before they rule, or even after, we don't become so disheartened by these backward, regressive, repressive policies by the executive branch, by the legislative branch, and even the judicial branch of government. But it just shows us that we have work that we have to continue to do.
Yeah.
We've faced challenging times before. Where there were lynchings and murders, church burnings. I mean, I don't have to go over the long list of what we've been through after years of chattel slavery. But the thing is, I'm a man of faith. God was with us that day, that Monday on October the 6th, 1995. I remember the next day, at least in the final call, the headline was "A Glimpse of Heaven." We did see a glimpse of heaven that day. And we need to see that glimpse more in our communities now across the country.
Yep. So the Supreme Court, as Dr. Chavis mentioned a moment ago, has been hearing today arguments in this voting rights case. And again, I think it's a foregone conclusion. They're going to cut it. And then we'll figure out where we are and see how we move back to Tevin Campbell and Quincy Jones, how we face tomorrow once they make their decision. We'll be discussing that perhaps on this program tomorrow. I'm sure we will. My producer is talking now for doing his job, preparing for tomorrow's show. But my sense is by the time I get to tomorrow, we'll be talking about whatever happened at the Supreme Court today. With that said, Dr. Faye Williams was the March host committee co-chair. Dr. Williams, just at the outset here, your reflection 30 years later.
Well, first of all, let's go back to 30 years ago. And it was such a blessing to be able to work with Dr. Chavis. He did all the hard work, and that we women did the other work. But I think we worked together and made a beautiful event. It was such a glorious day and a beautiful spirit, and it's really not over. I go into cities like Birmingham, Alabama, where brothers come to my aid. I remember traveling here once, and didn't have my luggage, it didn't arrive with me, and there was a dangerous situation going on in Birmingham. Those brothers stayed all night outside my hotel, and they went shopping and bought me clothing to wear to the event the next day. So that is the spirit that still exists from those who were there that day and who remember it. So it's just a beautiful thing to remember, and I'm glad that there is a 30-year celebration, because those who were too young to know about it then can learn about it. And see, that's what this administration is afraid of, that people will learn from our past and they will make good of what they need to do in the future. So we're in a tough time right now, but I think all of us are feeling that we can stand up to it. We can take care of it. And just like we put on that march, what people said was a million-man march. I'm telling you, it was about 1 billion and something across this world. We heard from people all over Africa and other places who listen and know that we so reached it. And for those who think that women were not invited, I just want to say that a woman, we were there. Dr. Dorothy Irene Height was there. There were other women here who were working very hard to make this a beautiful time. And I remember having a girlfriend who's gone now, but she called me. She said, "I'm coming." She said, "I don't care what, I'm coming. I am not going to stand for 1 million black men to be in Washington and not be there to see it." So that was the feeling that we women had. We never felt left out. We were always welcome to come. It was just that we were told we didn't do all the work. We were just eager to do that.
Yeah. There are two things you said, Dr. Williams, I want to get a chance to unpack here. Let me start with the first. You used the word spirit a moment ago. As best as you can, these things aren't easy to describe, but as best you can, describe the spirit of that day since you used the word spirit.
Yes, everybody seemed to love everybody else. Somebody touched somebody, they would say, "Excuse me." There was no fighting. There was no dirt on the ground, no paper on the ground, or anything. People just wanted everything to be beautiful. We felt great. We felt good that we were accomplishing something that maybe we had not ever done before, but we knew it would last forever. And some of the spirit is still there. I'm not suggesting that it's all gone away. People cooperative with one another. They want to help one another, are working together. We just need to do more of it.
Yeah. The other issue you raised, I want to get you to opine on right quick, is the issue of women in the march. I recall vividly 30 years ago having this conversation with the brother minister, Louis Farrakhan, around the time of the march. And I remember just being disturbed as a black man that there were, in fact, some black women in this country who started raising Cain about the notion of a 1 million man march. And you recall that debate, and you already laid out nicely that women were not excluded, but there was this debate. There was this debate, back to the word that Dr. Tavis used earlier on the Supreme Court and voting rights. There was this debate that came to the fore in intra-Black America about a 1 million man march. But as a woman, what do you recall about that debate? What are your reflections on that part of the story?
I just remember when Minister Farrakhan came to Washington, D.C. to announce the march, and he said, "The men will do all the work, and the women will be able to stay at home." And didn't say we had to stay at home. And I remember raising my hand and said, "Minister Farrakhan, I love, honor, and respect you, but with 1 million black men in Washington, D.C., we're just not going to be able to obey you and stay home that day." We kind of laughed. And the next morning is when I found out I was going to be co-chair. So that worked. There were people who wanted to kick me out of organizations and all because I was playing a leading role in the march, but it didn't bother me. I just kept on working like many other sisters kept on working to make sure it was a success. The women had just been strongly invited. Don't you know that would have been all the way back into Virginia that day? Washington, D.C., and that space could not have held all of us, but there were many of us who worked, and there were many who attended. But I was always sorry that people got the impression that women would not be welcome. It's just that it was meant that the men would take the leading role that day.
All right, Farajii Muhammad, you were just a 16-year-old. 16 you were
16 years old.
Yeah. So tell me what. First of all, how did you get? You were your dad that day?
I went with my dad and my brother that day.
Okay. And what do you recall?
And what I recall is, first and foremost, I was 16, and the minister made the announcement. I was in high school at the Baltimore School for the Arts, the same school that Tupac and Jada went to. And I told all of my friends, I'm going to the Million Man March. Brother Tavis, they looked at me like I was crazy. Some of them expressed some level of admiration, but to the black boys and to the black girls that I was talking to about the march, they said, well, what if something happened?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, you're going to have all these black men here in the National Mall. What if they try to kill you? And I remember distinctly saying to my friends, you got to die for something. Because I wasn't going to miss out on that moment.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is that I traveled with my father, my brother, and we traveled there. We got there on the ground about 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. But it was that march that started my organizing journey at 16 years old. I didn't do any other organizing. Leading up to the day of the day, I was also volunteering my time. And Dr. Chavis will probably remember, I was volunteering my time with the local LOC in Baltimore. My sister Eartha Harris and Dr. Chavis would come by every so often just to check on the progress of everything, because we were like the closest city next to DC. And so I would volunteer my time to make sure that I can get as many young people as I can to come out to the march. But the thing that really struck me the most is that I think people, going back to you and I often talk about, Brother Chavis, is the frame of the march. What was the frame? The march was never framed as a political march or an economic march as we saw with the March on Washington. Mm-hmm. The frame was atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. Mm-hmm. That was the spiritual internal journey that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan laid out to Black men. Now, we could talk about all of the other stuff, the politics of it, but you had to start with raising the consciousness of those who came on the grounds.
As a 16-year-old kid, did you understand all of that?
I did. Yeah. I understood it because I was already taught about the thinking of Black people and Black men at that time. So I saw what the minister was trying to do. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that a lot of adults couldn't catch on to what the minister was trying to do.
I'm struck by your friends having fear about you going and something happening because there are so many Black men gathered in one space. Yes, and I also expect that has something to do with their experience growing up in Baltimore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, anytime you grow up in a city like Baltimore or Philadelphia, you expect the worst, especially when you're in the backyard of America.
You get 2 or 3 niggas on the corner, something there. 2 or 3 niggas on the street corner, something's going down, right?
Right.
Somebody gonna pull up on.
They're gonna pull up on you. They did. If you remember, the government there weren't any government officials. Clinton was out of town.
Right.
But I remember standing on the grounds. I'm sure Dr. Faye and Dr. Chavis can remember. I mean, on the perimeter of the grounds, we had tanks. There were all the types of police forces.
Just in case.
Yeah. So they were expecting madness and mayhem on that day.
They were expecting, but they didn't get it. And we are celebrating the Million Man March 30 years later with Dr. Benjamin Chavis, Dr. Faye Williams, and Farajii Muhammad. More of this conversation when we come forward on Tavis
Smiley. For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is declaring a local state of emergency in response to federal immigration raids. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath says the ongoing raids are forcing some businesses to close and many workers stay home.
For months, families have been living under threat. Workers have been kidnapped from job sites, and children have been coming home to empty dinner tables.
Cleanup efforts are underway after a rare and powerful October rainstorm slammed Southern California. Despite evacuations and concerns about mud and debris flows in burn scars, there are no reports of major issues. And the fifth largest excavation at Oakland Cemetery in Oklahoma is underway as field experts once again search for possible victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Get the IN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Escape the confines of the city for the expansive beauty of the Santa Ynez Valley with a short 2-hour drive up the coast. The Chumash Casino Resort be your destination getaway. Welcome to freedom. Go to chumashcasino.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The TBLA Sports Minute with Ray Rick.
The Dodgers are coming home with a 2-0 lead in the National League Championship Series. They beat Milwaukee 5-1 Tuesday night. Another spectacular pitching performance for the Dodgers. This time it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto delivered the first complete game in the Major League postseason since 2017. In 9 innings, he allowed only 3 hits and had 7 strikeouts. Milwaukee has scored only 2 runs combined in the first 2 games. Game 3 is Thursday afternoon at Dodger Stadium. First pitch at 3 o'clock. Major props to Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank. Blank's foundation announced a plan to provide $50 million in scholarships over the next 10 years to the 4 receiving schools in House, Clark, Morris Brown, and Spelman. Blank became an NFL owner in 2002 when he bought the Falcons for $545 million. No debate, no speculation. Here's what you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis Smiley with the final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Now, our keynoters include Professor Richard Wolf, Dr. Carl West, and Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump's cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine. The Constitution is not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA. Committee for the First Amendment and more. The Left Coast Forum to be by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
This is TBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted at 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgan. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Before I get back to this rich dialogue with Dr. Benjamin Chavis, Dr. Faye Williams, and Farajii Muhammad, some more sound from the Million Man March. 30 years ago tomorrow, now, Reverend James Bevel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This day is the day of atonement. This day was established by God himself. The grown men among a people is like the birth of a child. In America, the African American people are being born as a people. Minister Farrakhan is one of the chief midwives in the delivery of us as a people. And first, I want to thank Minister Farrakhan, and I want to thank Glenn Chavis for the work that they have done in terms of bringing our people together so that we can live in America as a people. What is atonement? When people do not atone, they lose their natural affection. And they cannot define and they cannot reason. And when man cannot define and when man cannot reason, they cannot solve problems. Because they cannot analyze their past. They cannot analyze their present. They cannot make scientific plans.
Dr. Benjamin Chavis, tell me how atonement, Farajii teed this up earlier. Now you hear James Bevel going in on it 30 years ago. How did atonement become the theme of the march? Why atonement?
Yes. Well, October 16th is officially declared a holy day of atonement. Most people don't know, Tavis, that 6 weeks before the march, on that Monday, October 16th, we met in Howard University Chapel. Religious leaders, Christian leaders, Muslim leaders, traditional African leaders, Black Jewish leaders, to declare October 16th a holy day of atonement. As Reverend Bevel explained, atonement is something that it embraces not only repentance, but embraces acknowledgement that we have things that we need to do to improve our relationships in our families, to improve our relationships in our communities, improve our relationships as a people. So it is not so much things. It is basically each of us looking in the mirrors of life to say, how can I do better? How can I atone? How can I make recompense? And that's why people talk about the spirituality of the Million Man March. The brothers came with that spirit. They didn't get the spirit at the march. They came with that spirit. And that's why there was no difficulty, no disruption. A lot of the officials were predicting mayhem. They were predicting violence. They were predicting chaos. But none of that happened because of the spirit of the Million Man March was the spirit of atonement.
I'm glad you used that word chaos. I wanted to stick with you, Dr. Chavis, one more second here, and then I'll bring Dr. Williams back in this conversation. But during the commercial break a moment ago, I was talking to Farajii Muhammad here in the studio, and I was just trying to paint a picture for him and Miles, my producer, my boy, we were talking here. I was saying to them that these key moments in history fascinate me. And here's what I mean by this. So at the March on Washington, as you recall, JFK kept his hands off of that. Didn't want to be attached to it. They were scared then that something was going to happen. And the whole city was on high alert, law enforcement, in case something went down at the March on Washington in 1963. Kennedy, John F. K., and his brother Bobby, the Attorney General, they stay away from this. And they're in the White House watching the march. And when the march ends with no chaos and no mayhem, and Dr. King has laid that thing out with the I Have a Dream speech, then the White House, as you know, Doctor, you know history, then the White House invites Dr. King and the big 6 leaders to the White House for a photo op. So JFK stays in Washington, keeps his hands off of it. They're scared something might go down. And when it doesn't go down, the big leaders, the big 6, get invited to the Oval Office for the photo. That's the March on Washington. I jump from that to, say, the Million Man March, where Bill Clinton leaves town that day. Clinton's not even in town. To invite the leaders of the march to the White House after it ends peacefully. Clinton is not even in town. You jump from that to Donald Trump, who's inside the White House on the insurrection, January 6th, and he's right outside jumping in the Beast, the presidential vehicle, demanding they take him to Capitol Hill because he wants to join in the madness that's jumping off at the Capitol. That's the frame of 3 different presidents with 3 major moments of American history. That's my way of getting into a simple question to talk about, from your perspective, the politics. It was not a political march, but there were politics connected to the march before, during, and after. Talk to me quickly about the politics, Dr. Chavis.
Thank you. Well, I was at the March on Washington as a teenager in 1963.
Wow.
And so I can share.
So, hey, Dr. Chavis, so you were a teenager at the March on Washington, and Farajii was a teenager at the Million Man March.
Yeah.
I got it. Go ahead, Dr.
Okay. I'm not going to say whether or not Ether is that.
It's okay. I remember it. But I remember since I was a girl.
But I'm glad you make that frame because it's a wider frame.
Yeah.
Anytime that African Americans, Black Americans convene themselves, it is automatically political ramifications.
That's right.
And political consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a young brother who was a state senator from Illinois out in the audience of the Million Man March, whose name was Barack Obama. So when we talked about 1995 projection, we even published a document between 1995 to 2008. We didn't predict that 2008 a Black president would be elected president, but we knew that we had homework to do. So President Clinton not only left Washington on the date of the Million Man March, but he went to Houston, Texas to make a speech on race relations.
Yeah.
I mean, which was very controversial. And of course, there were fears in that. I knew some brothers that worked in the White House. They had heard rumors that we were going to storm the White House, that we were going to storm the Capitol, all the troops. But you know, we not only claimed that they organized that they mobilized that thing, but there was a lot of benefit from that thing. Most people don't talk about what happened after the Million Man March. Black on black crime went down all over the country after the Million Man March. Black high school dropout rate went down. The National Association of Black Social Workers gave us a list of 25,000 Black children that need to be adopted. 8 weeks after the Million Man March, Travis, all those children were adopted by Black families. We registered 250,000 people at the march. So I could just go on and on. In Detroit, when brothers got back to Detroit, some of them had been reluctant paying their child support. There were so many brothers lined up to pay their child support debt. The city of Detroit had to hire additional tellers just to process the money. So in Baltimore, great transformation in Baltimore. Baltimore and Philadelphia had two of the largest contingents at the Million Man March. It was a great national assembly for a stated purpose, and it had tremendous impact.
I want to ask Farajii in a moment, to your point, what he did after the march. There's a 16-year-old kid, his classmates say, "Why are you doing this? Are you scared?" We'll get his take on what he did after the march. I want to bring Faye Williams back to the conversation as well. But let me just say this right quick before I move forward here. I want to connect some dots. We're talking about history here. And I'm glad Dr. Benjamin Chavis made this. I'd forgotten about that. Barack Obama was in the crowd that day at the Million Man March. Now watch this. My preacher says,
"Come on."
I'm going there. You know I'm going there, right?
I know you're going
there. I'm going there.
Let's go.
As my preacher says, "Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this." Barack Obama is in the audience at the Million Man March. Fast forward years later to Dr. Chavis's point.
Came with Reverend Jeremiah Wright.
That's right. That's right. Came with Jeremiah Wright. He's in the audience at the Million Man March. Fast forward some years, Barack Obama is running for president. That same Jeremiah Wright that took him to the Million Man March gets thrown under the bus. This is me talking. Don't y'all say nothing. I ain't trying to get none of y'all in trouble. That same Barack Obama throws Jeremiah Wright under the bus during his campaign for the White House, although Jeremiah took him to the March on Washington. That's number one. But there's another connection. He's at that march he's at the Million Man March, and he's watching Minister Farrakhan do his thing as only the other minister can do. And years later, Barack Obama is in Hyde Park. Minister Farrakhan's home is in Hyde Park. Home that Elijah Muhammad lived in. That's the residence. They vote in the same precinct. Tell you what I know, not what I heard. The Obama campaign reaches out through an emissary, Father Michael Slager at St. Sabina, to the brother minister to let them know what time Barack and Michelle are going to show up at the precinct to vote. And they asked the brother minister not to show up at the same time. They don't want this photo op, this picture. of Barack Obama voting for himself for president of the United States with Minister Farrakhan anywhere in the vicinity. Tell you what I know and not what I heard. That jumped in my spirit when I heard Dr. Chavis remind me that Barack Obama was in that audience. He's connected to Farrakhan that day at the march, the Million Man March. But years later, he's about to become the first African-American president. He doesn't want that photo op. They don't want that moment to happen. They bump into each other while voting in the same precinct in Hyde Park in the city of Chicago. That right where it is. We come forward more of our conversation about the Million Man March 30 years later here on Tavis Smiley.
From the Mert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley with a final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. As you know by now, our major keynoters include Professor Richard Wolff and Dr. Cornel West. LA Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries: fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine, the Constitution. Not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA County, committee for the First Amendment, and more. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weinbach Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Seniors prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me. Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They want to put your number for a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I pick up the phone. Should I pick up the phone and ask for information? Then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements.
Scammers will get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it. You don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month. If your statement see something that you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Sometimes he fails to fit in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed, as we celebrate the 30th anniversary tomorrow of the Million Man March. Faye Williams, March host, committee co-chair, and Farajii Muhammad, producer on this program, but who was at the march as a year-old kid. Farajii, watching my time.
Yes, sir.
You produce the show every day.
Yes, sir.
Time's getting tight. What did you do when you left?
What I did was I was so empowered and fired up, Brother Tavis, that I actually went further in my organizing journey. And I was a co-founder of a nonprofit in Baltimore City. And it was that march that gave me the spark to see the power of young people. And then years later, I'm happy to talk about this part, that 20 years later for us, when we had the Justice or Else, the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, I served as the official co-chair along with my brother, Reverend Mark Montgomery in Baltimore. We were working with Pastor Jamal Bryant, brother Imam Abdul Salam in Baltimore, who was known as Minister Carlos formerly. And so we 20 years later from the march, I was a participant, I was a volunteer, and then I went into my own activism work with youth development, and then we worked all our way up to becoming co-chair for the 20th anniversary for the Justice of local organizing committee.
Yeah. And how did your classmates respond when you came back? I'm sure they were full of questions.
Full of questions. You know what? It created so much division.
Any regret that some of them didn't go when they saw it on television?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know how they do.
Yeah.
You're in a major moment. Absolutely. Part of my classmates, especially the sisters, were very proud of me. I remember that feeling. And then the other part was that, I went to school for the arts. It was a very diverse school, and it created some division because in that culture, it's like, no, we are all good. We are okay. And then you have that one black kid that comes back fired up for the Million Man March. You're like, oh boy, what does this mean? And it just opened my eyes to the reality of the condition of black people and this country. So my activism, my eyes were open as a result of the Million Man March.
Speaking of the sisters, we'll give a last word to Dr. Faye Williams when we come forward in this conversation celebrating the Million Man March 30 years later. You're listening to Tavis.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to ensure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating the future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live and Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality. And our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Chavis Smiley, Dr. Benjamin Chavis, Farajii Muhammad, and Dr. Faye Williams. My time is getting really, really tight on me. Just left here. Dr. Williams, I want to ask you how we use the power of the march. All these years later, you made the point that power is still resident. It still exists. How do we use the power of the march in this?
Well, first of all, there's a big march coming up on Saturday where hopefully many of our people will be there, because what the demonstration will be all about, the No King march, that impacts us. And we need to do more than just say things. We need to show up. I think we're more greatly impacted in what's going on in our country now, but it means that we also have to be alive. We have to be out there. People have to know how we feel. We can't sit back and say that we're not upset about all those 300,000 black women being laid off or fired, that we're not upset about our president sending $20 billion to Argentina. All those, we have to make known what our feelings are. So I'm just looking forward to the 30th anniversary tomorrow, reigniting some of that spirit of love and that spirit of caring and doing something about it.
My time is tight, Dr. Chavis. What is the enduring legacy of this march 30 years later, sir?
The enduring legacy is that we can still make more change. The enduring legacy is that we should not allow the forces of repression, the forces of suppression take us back. We got to keep marching forward. We got to keep organizing forward. We got to keep mobilizing forward. And the memory of the Million Man March should help to inspire us to keep standing up for freedom, justice, and equality.
Yep. One final question to you, Dr. Chavis, before I give Farajii the last word here. Situate this march for me in the grand legacy of the Brother Men.
Well, I think the minister himself would say that the Million Man March is one of the greatest events in world history. It certainly was one of the greatest events for the Nation of Islam. But I would say that, what happened at the Million Man March transcended religious denomination. It transcended whether one was a Christian, Muslim, or Jew. It truly represented the unity as well as the diversity of our community. And I'm so glad that a lot of women like Maya Angelou, Rosa Parks, Betty Shabazz also spoke at the Million Man March. So it represented not just our past, but our future. And that's what we need to continue to do, to keep marching, to shape a better future for all people.
I give the last word to the youngster that day, the 16-year-old Farajii Muhammad, 16 no longer. Trust and believe, married with 2 kids all these years later. 2 beautiful kids. Last word in 60 seconds, Farajii. I can look back on my life, all of us can. And we have these life-changing, these life-altering moments. In what way, finally, did your presence that day change your life forever?
It changed my life to give me an understanding that I'm not here on my own and that there are causes that are bigger than me. As a young person, at 16, 17, you think that everything revolves around you.
Mm-hmm.
But this march opened my eyes and said, no, that I can be just a soldier. I could be a part of the great struggle for liberation and freedom, justice, and equality. So it gave me my worldview. At the same time, it helped me to solidify who I am as a person. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the march, to serve in the march, reflect and remember the march. But this march right here opened the door for something that I never thought. I wanted to be an actor at the School for the Arts. By the time I came out of the School for the Arts, I said I wanted to serve my people.
And that's what you're doing, loving and serving. As a producer on this program, for that I am grateful. I'm grateful too for Farajii Muhammad. I'm grateful to Dr. Faye Williams, the March Host Committee co-chair 30 years ago. I'm grateful to Dr. Ben Davis, the director of the Million Man March 30 years ago this week. And grateful to you for tuning into this program. I'm out of time. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is declaring a local state of emergency in response to federal immigration raids. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath